Welcome, everybody, to this exciting return of the Burke Brigade from our epic Burke Brigade Texas road trip in which we encompassed over 1,000 miles.
1,000 miles
of Texas. So we are the Burke Brigade. I'm Matthew Burke.
And I'm Jennifer Burke.
We're the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Visit thelibertydaily.com. Thelibertydaily.com. You will not be sorry. You'll thank us later.
You might thank us now.
And you'll probably thank us now as well. In fact, you'll thank us in the past. Okay. So we took a little mini/working vacation, 8 days, which is why we haven't done the Burke Brigade. We were deep in the heart of Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
That's right. Because why were we going to Texas?
Well, I'm from Texas. And even though I love Texas, as I've always said, you can take the girl out of Texas, but you can never take Texas out of the girl.
Or probably the man, for that matter.
Yeah, but, I'm a girl, so. And I am a girl.
You
lefties. Yes, I'm a female.
Are you going to join the Boy Scouts?
No,
okay,
I will not. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, so we've thought about moving to Texas. We moved to Arizona 5 years ago from Washington State. We contemplated moving back to a sunnier part of Washington State, but the liberals there are doing their darndest to ruin the entire state, not just the Seattle area. They've done a lot of things that have caused a lot of our conservative friends to either move, plan on moving, want to move, or wish they could move, but they can't because they're ranchers. But anyway, we decided, after thinking and praying about it for probably over a year, at least a year now,
yep,
that we were going to finally do something that we've thought about doing numerous times, and that is take a road trip to Texas and look at a lot of the different places that we've considered after doing tons of research. Check them out to see if we want to move to Texas, and if we do, where we would want to move.
So Jennifer has family. We have family in Pearland, which is a suburb of Houston, and it would be nice to be close to them. But we also want to live in a place that, isn't really necessarily suburbia or big city, but really feels like Texas. Something with a little history, an old Southern charm, maybe along the lines of Mayberry.
So we flew into Dallas and drove down. We were driving down to Round Rock, Georgetown area. Even though they're outside of Austin, I think Round Rock is only about 15 miles outside of Austin. It didn't even really seem like Austin was very close at all.
Smell the liberals in Austin at all.
We spent a couple of days in Round Rock, Georgetown, checked it out, and we loved it.
Fell in love.
Loved it. I tell you what, and whoever does the social media for downtown Round Rock and Round Rock city government's Facebook page is absolutely brilliant. They sell that city so well. Kudos. I want to meet whoever does it if we move there and shake their hand. Lots of towns, lots of cities could learn from whoever runs that Facebook page.
Best propaganda I've seen.
It's great.
I mean, and their play on words is so,
it's so
folksy
cute.
And southern.
It is. I should find an example.
Yeah. Do it, and I'll blab about something else. So we went to Georgetown and Round Rock. Absolutely love those. We went to Alvin, which is kind of outside of.
Don't forget New Braunfels.
Pearland. New Braunfels. We went to Nacogdoches, which, man, we had a couple of really great restaurants.
Great. If you're ever in Nacogdoches or New Braunfels and they have one other location somewhere, go to Clear Springs Restaurant.
Clear Springs.
It's great.
Absolutely amazing. What was the name of the burger joints in
Butcher Boys.
Butcher Boys. Wow. Phenomenal. But anyway, we're kind of confused. We're still praying. We're asking God for guidance. Our hearts feel tugged, but there's other considerations we have, family matters, etc., etc. So if you feel so obliged, we would really appreciate your prayers. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but we would like to be in God's will and be where He wants us to be. But as of right now, we are highly considering moving to Texas. We generally like the culture there in many of the places. some places in Texas, quite honestly, are as liberal as anywhere else in the big cities. Now, speaking of the big cities, Trump was on Hannity tonight. If we have time, we'll play the clip. But basically, he said something, he might have exaggerated just a tiny bit, which he tends to do at times. You know, I do that when I'm talking to people. You know, it's called hyperbole. You know, people will tell me, oh, you're exaggerating. I say, well, I'm exaggerating to prove a point. So he said Democrats have controlled, you know, the failing inner cities for 100 years. All right, maybe it's 50, maybe it's 60.
In some places it is 100.
In some places it is 100, but it's generally true what he said. For decades and decades and decades and decades, Democrats have failed, what they've turned into progressive leftist hellholes. You know, the Detroits of the world, the Chicagos of the world, which is literally Fallujah, American Fallujah. So he made a very excellent point. So did you find it?
Well, I found one cute thing. So in case you guys don't know, Matthew McConaughey is actually from the Austin area, and I know that's why they did this. So they did a post on September 14th, City of Round Rock communication efforts recognized with 3 national awards. So see, I'm not the only one noticing how great their communication is. So they have a picture of their water tower with someone doing the University of Texas symbol. They are near the University of Texas. And it has like an arm at the water tower like that. And the water tower has sunglasses. And they have on the post, all right, all right, all right. Because that's Matthew McConaughey's signature.
Yeah, that's an example. They're really funny.
They're really funny. And
whoever
cute.
does that.
And then
really...
they did a picture of the downtown with like the sunset behind it. And their downtown is super cute. And it said, hometown like, whoa. It's just cute.
It's cute. It's precious. It's precious. So we want something with some small town feel like that maybe, you know, doesn't have all the hustle and bustle of a big city. I've kind of been there, done that. Jennifer grew up in Houston area. I didn't grow up, but I lived 32 years in the Seattle area, which is turned into a liberal hellhole as well. And so, what?
I didn't know Nolan Ryan had a beef company.
I didn't either.
I grew up in Houston, and so, of course, I grew up a Houston Astros fan, still am. And Nolan Ryan, of course, just Astros royalty. He actually grew up in Alvin, which was down the road from Pearland, which was the last place I was living when I was in Texas. And he actually, I think he has ownership or part ownership in the minor league team that's there in Round Rock Express. I think is what they're
Somebody
called.
told us that.
So anyway, I'm scrolling through that. Matthew's probably thinking, we're on our podcast, but I'm trying to tell you guys about our trip. It says Nolan Ryan Beef, didn't even know there was such a thing, relocating headquarters to Round Rock. From Conroe, north of Houston, to Round Rock.
Well, doesn't he live there now?
He lives in either Round Rock or Georgetown, one of the two.
Yeah, so he lives in that area.
Yeah.
Oh, and in Alvin, there was an amazing little bar there. What was the name of that?
Gordon Street Tavern.
Gordon Street Tavern, and that was really, really a good place. And that's a tiny little town.
It is, and we watched the Astros win. Woo!
Yep. So that was all good. Okay, so let's shift from all the wholesomeness that is
talk
in
about
the
a
great
shift,
state
Dave.
of Texas to the progressive perversion that has been running rampant in decades in what I call Hollyweird.
And it's like they went from the hunt for communists in Hollywood, which everyone knew they were there, they were in hiding, to all of a sudden there were these perverted serial women abusers and pedophiles.
So we know, Democrats staged, one thing about the left, this is something I learned from Rush Limbaugh over the years. The left are masters at projection.
Yep.
They will always accuse their political opponents of doing exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. So, for example, Antifa calling out fascism. But really, who has,
fascistic?
I can't even say it. Policies. It's the left.
Right.
It's the controlists.
And if they can't exert it through government, then their friends and brethren in the social media giants and news giants will do it for them.
Right. So they're Orwellian in their use of linguistics to change the meaning of words and attack their opponents by labeling them with exactly who they are. So that's one example is, Antifa, which is a violent communist front group, trying to accuse anybody who's not an America-hating communist as a racist and a fascist. And, they don't even know what the definition of fascism is, or their whole movement would blow up in flames, which it deserves to do anyway. But here's another example. The Democrat Party, remember in 2012 when Mitt Romney, who I don't agree with a lot of his politics. He's a bit of a rhino when it comes to that. But as far as his personal life, as far as anybody has been able to determine, it's as pure as a driven snow.
Pure as a driven snow. The Romney family spends Thanksgiving at soup kitchens serving the homeless and the poor.
And this they still do it. It's not photo ops.
Yeah, it wasn't a photo op shop. It wasn't like that photo op of Michelle Obama in the garden wearing $2,000 boots as if she was actually gardening.
For the little
remember
people.
Michelle Obama at Target. This is actually what they do at Thanksgiving.
So Mitt Romney had a list, like, what did they call it? A binder full of women. Binder full of women. Was trying to hire women.
The left wants to say, "Oh, women, income inequality, yeah." Mitt Romney actually made concerted efforts to hire women.
To actually give women preference.
Yeah, and he got attacked for it.
And somehow that was considered a war on women.
Misogynist.
A war on women. But now we see who is conducting the real war on women.
Yep.
It's the left, and it's always been the left.
Always.
Just like we know who the real racists are. They're on the left.
They're on the left.
Racism has been the lifeblood of the Democrat Party. And it still is, by the way. That has not changed one iota. We talk about that a lot. But so, they're acting like after 5 days, Obama issued a lame statement. After being pressured.
Regarding Harvey Weinstein.
I call him Hollywood Harvey. Because he represents Hollywood. The
progressive pervert.
The progressive pervert.
Who, it's come out that he has had decades of sexual harassment. Being
sexual
accused
abuse.
Of rape.
3 women have accused him of rape.
Molestation,
he's had to settle financially with 8 women.
Making women watch him masturbate after. Just a disgusting piece of crap.
Yeah, absolute garbage.
And after 5 days, it took 5 days for Barack Obama, for the Obamas, and Hillary Clinton to issue a statement, and their statement was so weak sauce, it was ridiculous.
But the thing is, now you're seeing, the Ben Afflecks of the world and all of these other Holly weirdos, these progressive leftist propagandists, and they're acting shocked and, appalled. And they're acting as if they didn't know.
Right.
They knew. And we have proof that they knew. This is not just speculation. This was on 30 Rock 5 years ago in 2012. And by the way, who's on 30 Rock? Alec Baldwin. So he obviously knew too. So let's just listen to them joking about Harvey Weinstein's war on women.
Sid, how long will it take to get a cease and desist order against Weird Al Yankovic? Oh. That's too bad. Did they also take away your handgun license?
Don't do it, J-Mo. You don't want to mess with Weird Al.
Oh, please. I'm not afraid of anyone in show business. I turned down intercourse with Harvey Weinstein on no less than 3 occasions out of 5.
I'm telling you.
See? So there they are. They're joking that
it's so funny.
He forces women to have sex with him in order to work on Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right. So that's number one. Proof that Holly Weird knew about Hollywood
Harvey, the progressive pervert.
Okay, here's number 2.
Damning proof.
This is Seth MacFarlane in all the way back, ancient history here, 4 years ago.
4 years.
2013.
The 2012 nominees for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role are Sally Field in Lincoln, Anne Hathaway in Les Miserables, Jackie Weaver in Silver Linings Playbook, Helen Hunt in The Sessions, and Amy Adams in The Master. Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein.
So you hear the you hear the laughter. Everybody got the joke, right?
Right.
Everybody in the audience knew.
And even more disturbing, here it is in Vanity Fair. You know, Michelle and Barack Obama's oldest daughter, Malia, worked on that did an internship in that disgusting HBO show with Lena Dunham, Girls. And then in January of this year, you know, she took that year off after high school to go explore the world and find herself, I guess. In January of this year, it was announced that she was coming to New York to work for the Oscar whisperer himself. The Obamas have huge connections to Hollywood. I mean, they want to act like they're down for the struggle, but the reality is they party like it's 1999 with the one percenters of Hollywood and get a pass for it because those one percenters chastise executives, CEOs, who the media help demonize for actually doing something to make their money as opposed to reading a script to make money. In 2017, it was well known who Harvey Weinstein was. They actually let their daughter do an internship with him.
They sacrificed they offered their daughter as a sacrifice to the progressive pagan god of political correctness. There was no way. You can tell me they didn't know.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it because they're sitting there joking about it on national TV. Here's just 2 things that we dug up.
Right. I'm sure
the whole audience in attendance is laughing. Do you think Obama didn't watch one of these award shows? I guarantee you they watched every single one.
And his Hollywood buddies, no doubt, called him and warned him. You know, maybe he said, look, Harvey, I know what you're about. I know what you do. Don't you try that crap with my daughter or I'll destroy you. In which case, he would be complicit in everything. But it's just the whole thing is just sordid and disgusting.
It's dirty. And I've got another prediction here. This is the first domino to fall. I've got no inside knowledge, but I am of the opinion that this is not the exception, that this is more towards the norm of how Hollywood works.
Well, remember a couple of years ago when Corey Feldman, who was a big child actor in the 90s, came out and talked about this huge pedophilia ring in Hollywood. How they'd have these big parties with these directors and producers and everything, and him and all these other young child actors were forced, to be there and do things with these men if they wanted to have a career.
Right.
And that story, basically, it got a little play for a couple of days, and then it was swept under the rug.
Well, and we know that there were a lot of rug sweepers. NBC, it was reported today, NBC, old NBC, the National Brainwashing Company.
Good one, hon. Did you come up with that just now?
That's a Burke Brigade original right there. At least it might be. Or I don't remember where I got it, so I'll take credit. For it. So NBC apparently had this story all the way back in August. What was the reporter's name? Ronan Farrow, I think.
Oh, Ronan Farrow.
That put the story together, and he was shopping the story.
Basically got with his stepdaughter. Isn't he Nia Farrow and Woody Allen was his stepdad? Yeah.
And he pitched it to NBC News, and they rejected it. They said it wasn't newsworthy. So they were afraid because Harvey Weinstein, isn't there a pig that sounds something like that? But
I don't know, but he looks like one.
But I digress. What's the name of the pig? Anyway, I can't think of what it is. But, he threatened to sue the New York Times if they came out with the story. So probably the cowards over at leftist NBC News, they were afraid to do it as well. So that's what these powerful people in Hollywood do. Yep. They squish anybody that opposes them.
Right.
And then what they do is they give their money, like he was a big anti-life, baby butcher promoter. So if you're one of those in Hollywood, you automatically have a hedge of protection around you.
Right. It makes you wonder, thinking about his $100,000 donation to the Planned Parenthood gala.
Butcherhood.
Did he? Planned Butcherhood. I digress. Thanks, sweetie, for correcting me. It makes you wonder, did he knock a couple of girls up who he forced himself on and send them to Planned Parenthood, and that's why he supports them?
One has to wonder. One has to wonder. Oh, speaking of sickos, we've got, we'll call this the cultural Marxism update. The Boy Scouts today announced that they're going to allow not just trannies,
Which is bad enough.
which is a whole different show, not just the sexually confused, girls. The Boy Scouts is going to allow girls.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Isn't there Girl Scouts?
Yeah, so I wonder how are the Girl Scouts going to allow boys now? I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
You know, if
I
I was a hormone-charged teenage boy, I might have some interest in joining the Girl Scouts, if you know what I mean.
Well, or, you know,
What
now
could
you can
possibly
join the
go wrong?
You just join the Boy Scouts since
Since there'll be girls there.
Yeah, I have to read this tweet from the great Matt Walsh because it ties in perfectly, honey, to what you just said. To what you just said is so true. Let me find it. Here it is.
At Matt Walsh blog. Follow him on Twitter. He is so good.
So there are a couple of tweets he said 8 hours ago. Liberals. Men are dangerous rapists because how often have we heard we need to
that's a
teach
narrative.
our boys that this is not right.
Rape culture.
We need to teach them, you know.
We have a rape culture as Harvey Weinstein and Bill Clinton are leading the rape culture.
Two Democrats. And then also liberals. Men should go in girl locker rooms and girls should go camping with Boy Scouts.
How does this make sense?
And then he had another one. The Boy Scouts have apparently responded to the recent news about sexual assault by inviting girls to sleep in the woods with boys.
What could possibly go wrong? So, the Girl Scouts, believe it or not, and you can get this on one of our websites, thepolitistic.com. The Girl Scouts blasted the Boy Scouts of America in a statement Wednesday, hours after the BSA announced that it would be accepting girls into the organization's ranks.
Yes, the girls... Oh, sorry.
Quote, we learned about this through different channels, but never directly from BSA leadership. We've had competitors come and go. Okay, off script. So now the Girl Scouts, they see the Boy Scouts as a competitor because they're going to be stealing their members. And but I say the word members, not maybe in the way you're thinking. We had competitors come and go, and this is yet another competitor. We're disappointed in the way BSA handled this. Lisa Margoshian, Chief Customer Officer for Girl Scouts, told BuzzFeed. The BSA will now allow girls to join its well-known Cub Scout program, which will enable girls to advance to the highest rank of Eagle Scout, according to a statement released Wednesday. Okay, this is straight out of the Cultural Marxist textbook, which is, and we saw this in the election, to create confusion. There is no right or wrong. There is no left or right. There is no up or down. There are no differences between men and women.
Right. Gender is a social
construct. Gender is a
construct.
social construct. You know, Facebook has got 57 or so different genders you can be. You know, just pick one. You know, it's not like the good old days where you look between your legs and, oh, I must be a boy.
As
you
we
use
learned-
this restroom.
As was clearly stated by the kid in Kindergarten Cop.
Right. That's right. That was a funny part. Now you've got this confusion. People don't know, you know, what the plain meaning of words in the U.S. Constitution are.
Scouts.
They don't know if they're men or women. They don't know what restrooms they're going to use. And this is all part of the Marxist plot to destroy America.
Destroy America.
And destroy manhood and destroy masculinity.
Yes, they've been working.
If you think about it, if you really wanted to defeat a country militarily,
Yep.
what would you do? You would wussify the men.
Right, raise a bunch of pajama boys.
Right, a bunch of wussy men that, if you were in an actual conflict, would tuck tail and run.
Right.
You know, home back to mommy's basement. Because
Right.
after all, they're not even sure, you know,
If they're a boy
this
or
thing
girl.
hanging between their legs means they're a man or not.
Right. Right. And you know what? If you are looking, I won't buy Girl Scout cookies anymore for a whole different reason, because of the things that they've done with Planned Butcherhood. But and I definitely won't ever buy Boy Scout popcorn anymore. But if you're looking for an alternative, a real Christian alternative that's going to where you will support traditional values upon which this country was built, American Heritage Girls. Their slogan is faith, service, and fun. American Heritage Girls is a great alternative to the Girl Scouts, and I discovered this today. Trail Life USA is a great alternative to the Boy Scouts.
Right. And if you don't think this has anything to do with Marxism, get on the old Google or Bing it, and look up the communist goals of 1963. These are a matter of congressional record. These were the 45 declared goals of the communists to take over America. I'm not going to read all of them, obviously. We'll do a separate episode this at some point in time. But I am going to just cherry pick a few of them. And again, there are 45 of them. Number 17, get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in the textbook. Has that been completed?
Yes.
Yes, it has. Gain control of all student newspapers. Has that been completed?
Yes.
Use student riots to foment public protests against programs or organizations which are under communist attack. Has that been completed?
Under communist attack?
Which stand against communism.
Right. That has been key word, Berkeley.
Right. So that is completely. We see these riots all the time. Number 23, control art critics and art directors of art museum. Our plan is to promote ugliness, repulsive, meaningless art. Has that been completed?
Lord knows that has, sadly. I mean, think about it. Jesus being urinated on is now considered to be art.
Right. So we know that because, all of these things, the communists knew this would destroy the moral fiber of America, which is our strength. The Judeo-Christian values that made us the freest, most prosperous, most moral country in the world. And it's all being slammed by the commies and their useful idiots in the Democrat Party. Here's two really big ones, and we're going to do a whole episode on this. This is just too good. But part of the communist goals in 1963. Break down cultural standards. This is number 25. Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. Has that been completed?
It has been. You see now even, what was it, Teen Vogue? Teaching
anal
preteens
sex.
how to have anal sex.
Yeah, just real healthy. Number 26. This one, sorry lefties, this is what you're all about. This is how you're being used. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy.
Yep.
And that's what we're seeing with this demented Boy Scouts allowing girls. And is it the Boy Scouts or is it the Boy
Dash? Have to be Scouts.
The tranny Scouts.
They're just going to have to be Scouts now. And what Matt Walsh said is correct. We've seen the left talking about hyper masculinity is bad. We don't want to raise our boys. Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, I'm raising my boys to be feminists.
Yeah, congratulations. You got a couple of pajama boys.
The deballing of America's men. And, talking about men are bad, rape culture, this, that. But men should be able to go into bathrooms with little girls, and teenage boys and girls should be allowed to sleep in tents together in the dark woods.
Yeah, not a problem.
But don't worry, Planned Parenthood will take care of anything that might transpire from that.
Okay, we're going.
Sorry, Planned Butcherhood.
Yeah, Planned Butcherhood. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit here. Here is ESPN leftist hack, a progressive propagandist, Obama golf buddy.
Yep.
Mike Wilbon pulling
host of Partners Interruption.
Yeah, pulling the ultimate race card on Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who had the audacity, quote unquote audacity, to say the common sense statement that, as the owner of the team, he's going to require his players to stand and respect the American flag and the national anthem and everything it stands for. And if they don't like it, they can sit their ass down on the bench because they're not going to play. Just like they have other codes of conduct. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with freedom of speech.
Nope, it has
this
nothing
is
to do
not
with
the
race.
U.S. government limiting free speech, which is what the First Amendment's about. It doesn't have anything to do when you're working for a private company. They can have you say or not say whatever they want
or do.
And if you don't like it, guess what? You can go work for another company.
You can go work somewhere else.
So let's listen to this idiot.
Last week I said I thought Jerry Jones actually showed leadership in trying to come up with this compromise solution. Let's respect what our players are saying and let's stand for the anthem. And I thought he did that. And as it turns out, as I called it yesterday, phony, and I haven't been suspended yet, and I'm not going to be. I thought it was phony. I think what the NFL owners did last week was increasingly phony, at least in appearance. They wanted the heat off their behind, and so they did what they did in many cases. Not all of them, but some of them, and Jerry Jones seems to be the ringleader. And now he says he's going to suspend any player who doesn't stand. Well, supposedly all don't stand. What's he going to do, suspend the whole team? Is he going to forfeit the game? So
sure.
Jerry's a complete and utter phony in this regard, in that particular context. Let me make myself clear. And you know what, Dan? Again, you know me well enough and long enough that you can speak to this if I wasn't on your show. You know I don't consult Bristol. I grew up in this business in a different place at the Washington Post. I say what I'm going to say, and I have to stand behind it. If there are consequences, I will accept them. But I have not had anybody tell me what I can and can't say. I was critical of Jerry Jones yesterday. I used the phrase plantation mentality. So let me repeat it. That's what it comes off as. I don't care if Jerry Jones comes back and criticizes me or Fox News or anybody else. There needs to be open discussion.
Okay, so let's have the open discussion.
Oh
you
God.
are a useful idiot.
Yeah.
I would love to be on that plantation getting paid $10 million a year.
Or league minimum $900,000. Look, Wilbon, you writing some stupid column in the Washington Post where you said you used to work. Maybe you were an opinion writer. I don't know. I mean, you're really comparing a newspaper to a football organization. You being hired to state your opinion is one thing. Those men are paid to get out on that damn field and play football, period. They are employees who make a shit ton of money to do what they are doing. And when they kneel, stay in the locker room, sit down, disrespect the national anthem, and it causes ratings to decline, it causes ticket sales to decline, it is Jerry Jones whose money is on the line for that team, not
That's
yours.
Right.
If you want to let the players do whatever the hell they want, why don't you go buy a team and let them do what they want? But can you imagine if all companies were subject to employees being able to decide what they will and will not do? Oh, so and so, we have a customer in Japan. I have a friend who works for Microsoft. She frequently has to take calls at odd times of the day because of a customer base, they have someplace else. Could you imagine if she said, "No, sorry, I can't do that call. I don't like that guy. I'm not going to take that call."
Right.
Or if someone's, a cashier at a restaurant and somebody comes in, maybe it's someone who's overtly stating what their faith is. Maybe it's someone wearing a t-shirt identifying themselves as a Christian. Maybe it's someone wearing a burqa identifying himself as a Muslim. Maybe it's someone wearing a yarmulke identifying themselves as a Jew. And that person said, "No, sorry, I'm not gonna check that person out. I don't agree with their religion, so I'm not going to check them out. Could you imagine what the world would be like if that were allowed to happen? These men are employees. What they do,
and none of that, they're entertainers with an audience.
And they are on the clock.
Right. It's not after the game.
He could even institute a policy for off the clock. For
Right.
what he would expect them to do.
And they do have that.
As their employer. And you know what? If they all decide to take a stand and or take a knee or not come out and say, F you, Jerry Jones, we're going to do what we want.
He should
if
cut
he
them.
forfeited the game and cut their salary for that game and they continue to do it, I guarantee you there would be a change in
they'd be standing up doing
believed.
jumping jacks.
Yeah, like you said, honey, he could tell them they have to stand up on their head for 5 minutes, and they'd have to do it. Why? Because they are employees.
Right.
Period.
And they're not slaves. Hey, Wilbon, I don't know if you've studied history. Slaves weren't millionaires.
Right. Slaves
playing
didn't
a
get
kid's
paid
game.
millions.
Slaves got treated pretty harshly. I don't know if you know that, but they were, in many cases, beaten and forced to do harsh labor that your sorry ass, who just sits around and blabs all day,
Right.
wouldn't be able to do.
Nope.
You wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't probably be able to do it either. But to compare these overpaid NFL,
Entertainers.
brats to slaves,
It's an insult.
It's insulting.
It's an insult to slaves who are. I don't see Jerry Jones out there with a whip.
I don't
Striking
either.
someone on the back. But you know what, Wilbon? You are the very type who would, you want to use the word plantation. Well, we conservatives have talked about the plantation mentality when it comes to the left. Because as a black conservative, I don't know how many times I've been ridiculed, criticized, attacked, called an Uncle Tom, all other kinds, or someone who was even cute wanting to call me an Aunt Thomasina. All because I refuse to buy into the liberal propaganda BS.
You never joined the Democrat plantation.
You are fine. You're fine with that. You're fine with Democrats expecting black conservatives to not be conservatives, for us to look in the mirror and decide, yes, I'm a Democrat. You're okay with that because you are far left, radical leftist, Obama golf buddy,
butt liquor,
who made a career in sports, and now instead of talking about sports, you now want to be a social justice warrior.
And you know what, Wilbon? Go ahead, convince them to, disobey their boss. Go ahead, tell these, these Marxist dupes, these NFL empty head people who would be flinging nuggets if they didn't have some God-given physical talent and given the opportunity in this great country
by a white owner
to be
and a white coach
to be multi-millionaires, to make more money in 1 year than many people make in a lifetime. Or many lifetimes in some cases. Go ahead and tell them to keep disrespecting the flag. And you know what's going to happen? You're not going to have any fans. There's not going to be anybody in attendance. And the league will fold. And then you know what you're going to be talking about? Tiddlywinks. You're not going to have a job either because ESPN is going to lay your sorry ass off, something that should have happened a long time ago.
And shame on ESPN for not having
allowing
a
this
comment,
crap.
For not having a comment about your statement. Yes, and then they're not going to suspend. They should suspend you.
Absolutely.
They should suspend you. I
mean,
seriously.
And the only thing you had for Obama the last 8 years, who actually was an unconstitutional tyrant, using the power of the IRS to attack his political opponents, making up laws, creating laws out of thin air, refusing to obey other laws, is to French kiss his butt. Sickening.
Disgusting.
These people are nothing but communist propagandists masquerading as journalists.
Honey, what have we seen in recent years? We've seen magazines that we grew up that actually talked about music, like Rolling Stone.
Right.
Magazines that actually used to talk about fashion, like Vanity Fair. Sports shows that actually used to talk about sports, like things on ESPN. All of a sudden,
all taken over by the left.
They're social justice warriors.
Yep, all commies, every last one of them. But it wasn't always this way. This is also on one of our sites, a Politistic. This is Ray Charles. Now, this is the 2001 World Series, and it's
in Arizona.
In Arizona, and it's after 9/11. And It's so good, I just want to play this. Come on, baby.
Don't play all of it, though.
Yeah, we won't play all of it because it's like over 5
It's a
minutes.
little bit long.
So it's just a few weeks after 9/11, and it's Game 2 of the World Series with a soaring rendition of "America the Beautiful." It's just wonderful.
Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America with the singing of "America the Beautiful," please welcome the man and his soul, Mr. Ray Charles.
Oh, and look, everybody's standing. How about that? Hit it, Brother Ray. God gets me choked up.
Who more than self their country love, and she more than love.
Sing it, brother.
What I'm thinking about the dead, it's America, sweet America.
Amen.
Till all success be nobleness, and every day divine. And you know, when I was a little boy, I remember we always sang these words. Oh, beautiful, far spacious sky. Amber waves of grain.
So that's Ray Charles. Great American.
Obviously loved his country.
Obviously loved the country.
You know, born in 1930, so he lived through times that Seattle Seahawks Michael Bennett never lived through.
Where there actually was racism.
Where there actually was racism, where black people were actually strung up on a tree simply for being black. I don't think Michael Bennett, the social justice warrior from the Seattle Seahawks, could have survived back in the Ray Charles era.
And you know, you've pointed this out before, and you're black, but we had gone beyond all of this as a country until Obama came along and lit the match again.
Yep, the community agitator.
Because
the Saul Alinsky Marxist protege.
Because let's just face it, the left and the Democrat Party cannot exist without having racism, without creating victim groups. And, you know, having gotten, 90% of blacks or more to vote for them, they've tried to create other victim groups, Hispanics, homosexuals, then
women.
They're just degrading more trannies. They're just going on and on and on and on.
They are manipulators, users,
Muslims,
and abusers.
Everybody is a victim.
It's no wonder they provided cover for Harvey Weinstein because they're abusers just like he is.
Yeah, of course. Of course. All right, so Jimmy Kimmel.
Contrast that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Contrast that. So Ray Charles sang America the Beautiful at Game 2 of the World Series in Arizona in October 28th, 2001, a few weeks after 9/11 happened. So, a few weeks ago, we had the worst mass shooting in American history. There's still many unanswered questions about it.
Which is very troublesome.
Which is very troublesome.
How they don't know this guy's motive is
there are
unreal.
things that we were told initially that have now been changed. But there was a singer there named Kaya Jones. She was one of the ones at this country music festival. So she was, and the shooting happened, we know, in Las Vegas. So Kaya Jones was at a University of Las Vegas football game, I'm assuming, over the weekend. the university invited her to sing, and she sang was God Bless America. Now, the game was being televised on ESPN. Hundreds of people held up their lighters and cell phones that twinkled behind her as she sang God Bless America. When she finished the song, first responders released 58 balloons into the sky to honor those who died in the shooting, because there were 58 people who died in the shooting. Active duty members of the military unfurled a giant American flag on the field. Both teams were escorted on the field by first responders and Las Vegas police officers. It was an incredible, beautiful moment that should have been something that brought everybody together.
And let me ask you a question. So what did the cultural Marxists at ESPN do?
ESPN decided to cut away from her singing God Bless America and not show it at all.
Of course they did.
At all.
Hashtag boycott ESPN. Hashtag boycott
So
ESPN.
she put it on Facebook. She put it on social media herself. But yeah, unreal. So you have ESPN. I mean, look at ESPN. Didn't that Jamel Hill work for ESPN? And then you have Michael Wilbon, and then you have them
a bunch of
refusing to do
Marxists.
this. Yeah, ESPN owned by Disney.
Yes.
And ABC.
Yes.
Yeah, anti-American Marxists, obviously.
Right. And as I say frequently, it will continue until you hit the mouse.
If you
have to hit the mouse. You have to hit Mickey, because that's the cash cow.
That keeps
Mickey
everything
Mouse
flowing.
is the cash cow that funds all of this cultural Marxism.
But
unless you boycott Disney, you're not going to hit ABC. You're not going to hit eLesbian, the cultural Marxist propaganda network.
Yeah, and you can check it out. She has it on her Twitter.com it's Kaya Jones, Kaya Jones.
All right, we're going to shift back here
to another pervert.
To another pervert and cultural Marxist. Here's the left's new moral compass. We have this from Ben Shapiro's.
The conscience of America, according to CNN.
The new conscience of America, the healthcare expert, the gun control expert, Jimmy Kimmel, the Harvey Weinstein, or at least he set the stage for Harvey Weinstein. So here's Jimmy Kimmel, the progressive leftist moral compass on the Daily Wire, and the article is entitled "Watch Moral Compass Jimmy Kimmel has series of women grope his crotch." So nothing demeaning to women about that, right?
I've stuffed something in my pants, and you're allowed to feel around on the outside of the pants. You have 10 seconds to then guess what is in my pants. You should use 2 hands. 2 hands. Before, haven't you? Maybe it would be easier if you put your mouth on it. How old are you?
That's the moral conscience of America.
Yeah, there's
the
moral. So he's right up there with Harvey Weinstein. Hashtag war on women. So as the left is accusing the right of somehow waging a war on women, just because we recognize the unique God-created blessings of womanhood, that we don't think women are exactly the same as men, that we actually honor women as in some ways being better than men in several areas, actually, and how men and women actually complement each other, and that's the God-given design.
Right.
Because we recognize that, the left somehow thinks that there's a war on women. Meanwhile, they're raping, they're groping, they're sexually harassing women, and
having women fill their crotch. There was another segment of Jimmy Kimmel actually having scantily clad women, some wearing no bras, jump up on a trampoline.
Right.
With about 50 men standing around gawking at him and cheering.
But
he's
the moral
conscience
compass
of America.
Yeah, he's the moral compass. Okay, so now we have more pleasant news. One of my favorite topics. This is just, I just want so much more of this. So this is from WND.com. McConnell GOP Senate establishment urged to resign. Conservative leaders to Mitch McConnell. Quote, America is too good for you to lead it. So I'm reading here. This is, what do we call him? Obama's Mitch.
Obama's Mitch.
Obama's Mitch. Chiefs of several key conservative organizations Wednesday released a copy of a letter to the leadership of the U.S. Senate telling Majority Leader, or as I would say, Surrender Caucus Leader,
exactly,
Mitch McConnell and others, they need to resign from those posts because they are not capable of providing the leadership the nation needs. It's just the latest and one of the highest profile blasts at a Republican team, or as I would say, you would say, rhino team in the Senate that has been unable or unwilling to deliver on just about any of their own president's agenda points so far. And it's not just their president's agenda, because Trump is a little bit all over the board.
Right.
It's their campaign promises.
It's their promises to their constituents that they very quickly went back on.
Yeah, so the letter was signed by Ken Cuccinelli.
Love me some Ken Cuccinelli.
Yeah, he's awesome. President of the Senate Conservatives Fund, Jenny Beth Martin, co-founder of Tea Party Patriots, and Adam Brandon, president of Freedom Works, Brent Bozell, who we're big fans of, chairman of For America, and is also a conservative media mogul, has sites like CNS News.
Media Research Center?
Yep, Newsbusters, etc., etc. David Bozell, president of For America, and Richard Vigueri, political direct mail pioneer. Quote, "You and the rest of your leadership team were given the majority because you pledged to stop the steady flow of illegal immigration," the letter states. "You have done nothing. You pledged to reduce the size of this oppressive federal government. You have done nothing. You pledged to reduce and ultimately eliminate the out-of-control deficit spending that is bankrupting America. You have done nothing. You promised to repeal Obamacare, root and branch." Now that's a quote from Mitch McConnell, root and branch.
I remember, right?
Old root and branch Mitch. "You have done nothing. You promised tax reform. You have done nothing." So the letters to McConnell, and then McConnell's henchman, Majority Whip John Cornyn from Texas. He's the senior senator, but not the good one. The good one's Ted Cruz. Roy Blunt of Missouri, another rhino. John Thune of South Dakota, another rhino. And John Barrasso of Wyoming, another rhino. Go to Conservative Review, look up their Liberty scores. They'll all be D's or F's, probably all F's. Cuccinelli said McConnell has, quote, failed to stop liberal policies and actually worked to, quote, advance Obama's agenda, including on the Iran deal, countless debt deals, and amnesty. And that's why we call him
Obama's Mitch.
Obama's Mitch. Mitch McConnell. So kudos to these conservative leaders. Hashtag ditch Mitch. Hashtag ditch Mitch. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off. Thank you for your patience. We know our two listeners were very impatient as we were on our epic Burke Brigade Texas road trip.
The Burke Brigade Texas road trip.
Yeah, that was really good. You know, and Texas does have a special culture. Not in all places, but in a lot of places, it's really, really great.
You know, one of the things that Matthew and I both remarked on as we've looked at houses online in Texas and everything, is we've noticed something that we never noticed when we looked at houses when we lived in Washington or here in Arizona. There are two things that you see on almost every house you look at: crosses and the Texas flag.
And the Texas Star.
Or Texas Star, something representing
usually Texas. A big star outside of the house. Yeah, and then these collages of crosses.
Right, it's awesome.
Because we're thinking about moving there, so we're looking at houses in various towns in Texas. And you see, the love of God and the love of their state that you don't see in other states.
There's no place like home.
Right. And
Texas.
We were in Nacogdoches, which is the oldest city in Texas. It's a pretty small little town, but 1840s or something like that?
Yeah.
And we were going through the old historic district, and many, if not most, of the businesses had crosses outside.
Yep,
that said Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord.
That was
not
awesome.
Allah, not government. Jesus is Lord. And to that I say, amen. And that was...
And God bless Texas.
God bless Texas. And God bless America.
Yeah.
And America is never going to be back on the right track. I don't care who's president unless they get right with God.
Right, exactly. And we, the people, need to demand that they do just that.
Amen. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special Return from Texas edition of the Burke Brigade, brought to you by the Liberty Daily.
Your conservative alternative to the Drudge Report.
Go to thelibertydaily.com, thelibertydaily.com. You will not be sorry, and you will thank us later, if not before that.
And you'll want to tell your friends.
You'll want to tell your friends about the Liberty Daily, the conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. We guarantee it, or your money back. Have a great evening, everybody. God bless you.
Good night, everyone.